Hello my super and amazing friend. So today we'll be looking at logical operators. So in the last video we looked at comparison operators, and in this one we'll be looking at logical. So it's not too far from what we did in the last one, but in a more advanced form. So we can do something like AND, which is one of the logical operator we have. So we are trying to check if num1 is not equal to num2 and num1, which you can have like this, is greater than 12. So you can do something like this to know whether it will give us true. If I should save now, find that it's giving us what? False. So whenever we make use of this sign, what we are trying to achieve is that everything condition we are checking, because in this sign, all involved is checking of conditions, which we have in the left hand side and in the right hand side. We can have multiple conditions. It must not only be two. You can have more conditions like this, whereby you have another AND sign and you are checking something like maybe you can still do something as 12 is less than 10. So this is also a check in which now we are checking multiple things. I can adjust this screen a little. So if you notice so far, we are checking this first one, we are checking this second one, and we are checking this third one. So that's one thing about logical. And whenever we are making use of AND, the implication is that everything we are checking must be true if we want to access what we have in this if condition. Otherwise, it will print what we have in the else condition. So far, if you look here, we need to find the logic which is failing. So checking here, num1 is greater than 12, which is false. So if we should change this thing now to num1 is less than 12, and we'll run again, we are getting true. Because num1 is not equals to num2, because 3 equals 2 is checking data type, which is true. And the second logic we are checking here is num1 is less than 12, in which num1 is less than 12, which is true. And the third logic is 12 is less than 10, which is also true. So this is a very good logic which we can as well check out and find that we are getting this. So whenever any of this logic fails, you will find that we get the else block of code. So you know that. While alternative to this is whenever we are using something like OR operator, so we use this sign for the OR, like the name implies, everything must not be true. That's one thing you must know. So all we are interested in whenever we are using this sign OR operator is that one must be true for us to pass the test, for us to have access to this place. But if everything should return false, it will print what we have in the else operator. So for example, now when I save and we are still getting true. So but if I should change this to something like 10 is greater than, but if I change this to something like 10 is greater than 10, which is false, if I should run this, you find that we are still getting true because we are using the OR operator, which is good. So even if we still change any of these things, for the fact that one is true, we will get access to this if block of code. The modern use of AND and OR operator can be something like this. I can clean up this if statements, which is available in React and some modern languages, Node.js, JavaScript at large. So we can have something like this now. I can have num1 is equals to, I'm checking whether num1 is equals to num2. So in this condition now, I can use something like AND in this case, and I can simply console log anything I want here. So if I console.log now, maybe I want to console log true inside this section. If I should save, we'll find that we are still getting true. So why are we getting true? We are getting true simply because the AND runs this way. It will first of all check what we have in this section, and you find out that this section is passing, so it will move over to what we have in the right section. So when we check this one, when this one is passing, it will just print it. That's what happens. So assuming we'll have multiple conditions again, maybe if I want, I can bring in another AND. 10 is greater than 2, and I add the same AND operator as well. If I save again, I'm still getting true. So what is happening here is simply when this thing runs, it will say that this thing is true. It will continue because there is AND. it will continue running, it will check this, it will say that this thing is true, it will continue running, and it will print the last one. But assuming that any of this thing is false, maybe I'm saying something like 10 is equals to 12. So if we save this, we'll see false. That means we are not printing what we have at this point. So in modern JavaScript now, you find that you can express any expression like this, and whatever you want to print should be in the last one, knowing fully well that if all the conditions are met, which means that all the conditions are returning true, it will now print this. But when one or more of the condition fails, you will not get this answer being printed. So another sign we have is the exclamation sign, in which you can try it out using this simple operation. I can take off this, and I'm having this AND operator. If I should save this now, I'm still getting false because this thing is false. So, but when I say something like this is not equals to, and I save this, you find that we are still doing what? Printing a good information here. So another good job that this sign is doing for us, the exclamation mark, is that we can use it to change what is true to false. So for example, assuming that we have true here, so if I should save, I'll still get my true. I can change this to show you that it's still printing. If I should save, I can still get 12. So a good example of this sign can be if I put that exclamation mark in front of this and I save now, you find that it will automatically change this true to false. So that's one thing about this sign. Whenever you are using it, it will change anything that is true to false. So you are free to practicalize it using if and else statements. You find that you can as well achieve the same thing. If I should have false now, you will notice that when I save, I'm seeing this because it will automatically change this thing to true. And whenever this thing is true, it will print what we have in this right hand side. So another simple scenario which I would like you to see is now if I should take away what I have here, which means that this is an empty string, and I'm passing it here again. If I should save, you find that we are getting 12 because empty string returns false. So, but if we remove this sign here, you find that automatically the false will take effect, in which we save, we are not getting anything. So this sign will always change whatever we have in it. So if we want, we can place it here again. If I should save, we are getting it again. So this means that it will always return the opposite of any boolean, which is always true or false. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next series. Bye.